Hello, I'm Pekka, the President of the International Compliance Association. I'm joined by my colleague Tim Tyler. Tim is the Vice President of ICA, and we've worked together many years now, Tim, haven't we? So I think we're going to have a bit of a discussion today about our roles, the growth of the ICA, what's happening with the ICA, and maybe some of the interesting developments that we're seeing across Europe, Asia, Middle East, all over the world effectively. So perhaps if I start with a little bit of a discussion about my role. We're both relatively new into our roles, Tim, aren't we? So in terms of being the president of ICA, my role is very much representing the ICA globally. So I travel a lot, typically leading on events, conferences, member webinars. We have a almost weekly member webinar covering some great topics, in terms of sanctions, compliance, or ethics, or the rise of AI, you name it, we're sort of covering it, and we get really interesting globally recognised speakers on those as well. My role is also, to help engage with the members. So we're doing a lot more member-based activities. So whether that's member evenings, did a recent member event in Hong Kong, which is really great to see some local members there. We regularly do events like that around the world. So it could be hosting a meeting with fellow practitioners just to discuss the latest trends in compliance. I think that's so important. I guess another part of my role is working with our partners. So I'm now based in Singapore, but my role is global. So I'm traveling a lot in the Asia Pacific and Middle East region. And we're doing some really interesting work talking to regulators, law enforcement, particularly FIUs, and government agencies as well, trying to, promote the message of ICA's excellence in driving up standards around compliance, moving away from this tick box philosophy that unfortunately is still out there, isn't it, Tim? I mean,
it is, yes. Yes.
So that side of my role and engaging with, policymakers and governments, that's been really rewarding and really interesting, especially as we see standards sort of rising across the world, and regulators wanting to keep pace with that. And perhaps we'll talk a little bit more about the ICA's geographic growth as we go. But look, I'm rabbiting on here, Tim. So tell us about your role. And I know you've obviously been with ICA for many years as well.
8 years, yeah. 8, 9 years now. I think one of the things that's worth drawing out from what you've just said is that our job is made so much easier by the quality of the materials, the training, the membership content, the relationships that we have across the world. But my role, of course, as Vice President, it's not entirely dissimilar to yours. It includes a representative function, of course, in the way that you've described, although maybe not quite at the same level. Part of my role is about managing relationships, leading in relationships. And I think in the same way as yourself, I think we've got the opportunity to lead within compliance, within the industry, and provide a voice on behalf of our members. And there's also something around delivery, whether that's masterclasses, webinars, which you've talked about. I mean, these are really enjoyable, fun things. What's not to like about this role? So, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I've only been doing it for a short while. I think the important thing is to recognize that the product that we represent is so strong. It makes our job so much easier.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm so proud when I look at the quality of what we have at ICA. And I mean, I've been with ICA 16 odd years now, and it's really amazing to see the continual evolution of the products, the content. And I know we're going to talk a little bit about some of the developments in ICA that people might not be aware of, and they're just amazing offerings, really, really good. So, I mean, let me talk a little bit about the kind of the growth of ICA in terms of jurisdictional activity, and it really is amazing now. We have our member webinars. We get people dialing in from all over the world. It's a real League of Nations, So I think in the last sort of year or so, we've been doing a lot of focus work in the Middle East. Some of you might have seen some of the publicity around the signing of a memorandum of understanding with the UAE Ministry of Economy. And I'm really excited about this. We're training all of the designated non-financial services businesses in the UAE. So that's everyone from your accountants, real estate agents, gold shops, corporate service providers. Such an interesting area. And if you look at, the challenges that every country has in driving up standards under the FATF, principles, those sectors are always the hardest to reach, the hardest to engage. And so I'm really excited that ICA is working with the government in the UAE to engage with that industry. And I'm optimistic we can do that in many, many more jurisdictions around the world. So in the last year alone, I've been to Nepal, Bangladesh, Taiwan, Indonesia, Malaysia. Tomorrow I'm off to Japan, which would be interesting. I've never actually visited Japan before, so really looking forward to that. But that's been an amazing opportunity to engage with new partners, new firms and new compliance professionals, and grow that international flavour of the International Compliance Association. And I think, there are still many, many jurisdictions which are reaching out to the ICA to engage with us, because we are such a unique organisation that we see the global good standards in practice, don't we? We work with all the largest financial institutions and regulated firms. We talk to the regulators. So we can add a lot of value. And I think that's one of the most exciting things about my role, is continuing to help raise capability in new jurisdictions for the ICA.
And I think that's an important thing that you're picking up on there, that we aren't just about delivering training or even membership content. Yeah. We are driven by a strong philosophy of helping, of making a difference, of maintaining standards, of operating at a global level, but to global standards. And that's an important component to the work that we do. And that's underpinned by our relationship with regulators. So we're talking to the key decision makers. I think you were saying just before our meeting that you're doing some work now with some of the FATF groups. Again, leading the way in terms of understanding and discussion and acting as a thought leader. But something else that's perhaps worth mentioning is our product portfolio is expanding to match that. So in the last 18 months, we've introduced, just before 18 months, so we introduced the sanctions diploma. Big piece of work there, given the nature and the complexity of that particular challenge. More recently, the MLRO course, incredibly popular.
So that's part of the practitioner series, isn't it, Tim?
Yeah.
So very practically focused for those roles, to give you the real skills you need to actually be a money laundering reporting officer.
Very much so, yeah. And we're using senior MLROs in the development of that and in the delivery of that to ensure that we stay very much on message around this. And it is practical in its nature. One of the things that we do alongside the training is we provide a toolkit to enable MLROs to use the best forms, templates, guidance, and so on, that is very, very practical and will help them in their day-to-day work. But of course, the other practical course is the investigator course, something else that's quite new that we're doing. At the moment, it's primarily aimed at investigators within regulated businesses who are investigating possible suspicion of money laundering or terrorist financing. But even that, we're looking to potentially expand into new areas around, for instance, fraud investigation, because many of the same principles will apply to both areas. And
they've both been really popular programs.
They have,
yeah. So, and obviously, I know that there's an awful lot of new content constantly coming down the road. I mean, I believe we're launching our new course around AI and ethics, which I'm sure will be hugely popular, because obviously it cuts across every industry, doesn't it? So, but I couldn't agree more with your point that I guess some people perhaps historically have seen ICA as being mainly about qualifications, but on your point about, the quality of what ICA's offering is, we have an amazing team of content creators and editors run by our colleague Ruth Hutchison, and they are amazing in terms of the quality of the content they're creating for our members, whether that's podcasts, whether it's analytical articles, whether it's interactive resources.
Absolutely.
It's amazing when you look at the member platform now. It's absolutely fantastic.
And here's the thing: so whenever we go on LinkedIn or whenever we jump onto the internet or onto our emails, we are awash with content, aren't we? We're just noise of developments, things going on, and the challenge, of course, is to understand what we can trust, what we can rely upon. And invest our time and our focus on that rather than being distracted by everything else. And that's what the learning platform offers. Was it something like 2 or 3 items every week being added, constantly evolving? There's
and it's
many
a Netflix style concept, isn't it, where it learns from your preferences and your competencies. You're self-selected as well. So
quite a lot of yourself on there, I think, from memory. But,
don't hide your light under a bushel. You're on there a lot as well. So it's just very exciting to see the evolution. I guess, as well as that side of the membership community, and if people watching this aren't ICA members, for goodness sake, come and join the community.
Expensive.
It's not expensive. It's so reasonable. And, we really want to build this kind of global community that has grown now to, I think, about 24,000, and it continues to grow. The other thing I'm really enjoying being, involved with, I know you are as well, is the events that ICA runs.
Yes.
So in the last year, we've run a series of masterclasses all around the world. We run regular mini sort of conferences. And of course, we have 2 big conferences, one in the Asia Pacific region, Singapore, and one here in London. And then, of course, we've also got the ICA Compliance Awards, which are proving wildly popular to recognise, success and excellence in the compliance profession. So, the ICA Future of Financial Crime Conference is coming up in May. Really looking forward to that. It's going to be a great lineup, and it's growing every year, getting bigger and bigger. So, hopefully, if you can come and join us, please do come along to future ICA events as well.
And I think it reflects what we were saying before, that the role of the ICA has moved way beyond just simply turning out training. Albeit that training is of a high standard. And it's worth, I think, just pausing to reflect on that for a moment, because our training, of course, isn't just about knowledge. It's not assessed just through multiple choice questions. It's about building skills and capability and making a difference in the workplace. And it's been developed with that in mind. It's now assessed with that in mind. But nonetheless, we've moved beyond just simply developing and rolling out training. We're also increasingly about acting as thought leaders in this space. And those events, the ones that you mentioned in London and Singapore, support that. But also the awards, where we're looking to identify and recognise active, enthusiastic, passionate compliance professionals within the industry. Exciting times.
Yeah, it is. So, in terms of the, I guess, the quality of the offering as well, it's pretty. One of the things I'm also really proud of is the long-established partnership with Alliance Manchester Business School. Russell Group University. Which we award our qualifications in association with, and that is a really strong badge of rigour and quality, and I think it also marks us out as really unique as well. Yes, it's the practical, vocational, technical, soft skills piece, but there's also that academic rigour behind what we do. And of course, once you do an ICA qualification, you have it for life. And we know that people go right through from junior baby compliance officers to become global heads of function. And many of them have done our certificates, advanced certificates, and then gone on to do diplomas and even our postgraduate master's program. So I think that kind of career progression is something that's also quite impressive about the ICA, which is great to see as well. And of course now we are partnered with Manchester to enable a full master's program as well, so which has been very popular too.
I agree, and it's worth just pausing to reflect that almost all of what you've just described is your work in one way or another. So it's fitting that you now lead the organisation as the president, and you've got, I think, a great deal to draw upon in terms of the quality and nature of what we're doing.
Well, I would probably dispute that last comment, but I mean, there's a great, okay, legions of people who've been at ICA who've created a great working environment. Those that have moved on to other roles now, and there's too many to mention, but it really is a very talented group of people, and there's been a collective effort over the past sort of 20 plus years of ICA's existence to get where we are today, which is really exciting to see. Tim, I think it's been a great pleasure talking with you. I think we'll draw it to a close there.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much for your thoughts.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you.